All right, bam. We're live. Let's get everybody rolling. Welcome. We're just getting started. All right. We're live. So we're talking about babysitting the job site, or at least that's what it feels like most days, right? All right. Too many tabs. All right. Yep. Welcome. Welcome. Be going here in a second. All right, we'll get the screen share. So for TikTok, be patient. We're getting started here. So getting the screen share set up for YouTube in case anybody joins over there. And we're talking about babysitting, right? Because that's what you love doing on the job sites. You hire all these guys. You think life's going to be great. You're like, hey, look at me. I run a remodeling company. I've hired all my friends. And then they all need to be babysat. It's terrible. You're like an adult babysitter. At least that's what it was like when I started. I'm not a good that's not my role. I don't like to babysit grown adults, right? I'm a big believer that you gotta figure it out on your own. I'll give you some frameworks to work with, but I'm not going to be hounding you, mothering you, right? Like some guys do. So this is what I found works over time. All right. I'm a big believer in empowering the individual. If I've hired you, that's because I trust that you can be an adult and do things on your own. Your parents might not trust you. Your friends might not trust you, but I will trust you until you prove that you can't be trusted. And that's a challenge for a lot of people, right? And those of you of different generations, some of you, because your parents have babied you for so long, you think that everyone's supposed to baby you. And that's not the reality. Nobody's coming to save you. So if you're trying to run your own remodeling business, you have to figure it out. You have to figure out who you're going to hang around with. You're going to have to figure out what videos you watch, what books you're going to read, what sales training you're going to take, because there ain't nobody that's going to just walk along unless your parents, right? Some of you, your parents, and if that's what you want and that's how you want to live your life, have at it. But for the most part, I would suggest you do the opposite and you figure it out. All right. So here we go. Micromanaging, quite frankly, it just burns you out. Okay. Yes, people that have high anxiety, high worriers, uh, that is often more of a feminine characteristic than a male. So, like if some of you have spouses that are working in your business, they'll be that mother hen, that worrier, typically, not all the time. They'll want to micromanage, and you'll have to remind them that they shouldn't be micromanaging, nor should you. The goal is that you train your people to do their job on their own so that you just provide the system, but they figure it out. They don't need to be calling you all the time. Okay. So it's neat to be the boss at first and like, oh, I got guys calling me and they want my advice. And yeah, I'm the big guy. But that's not the goal of a business owner. Because if you're going to have like 50 people working for you, you can't have all 50 calling you for the answers all the time. That gets old. So you have to stop being the answer man and you have to hire people that you can encourage them to come up with the own answer. So you got to figure out, how are you going to motivate this crew? How are you going to keep high standards, right? How are you going to hit deadlines? How are you going to manage without hovering over them all the time? So that's the real challenge. If you're new, welcome. If this is your first time here, go ahead and you can let me know where you're from, where you remodel out of, what your specialty is, and ask questions. Typically, I'll just talk about the topic for the first 12 minutes, and then we can have a discussion afterwards. All right. So who this is really for is guys that want to have employees or do a better job with their employees. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about how so you can lead but not be a micromanager. See, most remodelers when they start hiring people, they're hoverers, they're micromanagers. You're telling your guy everything to do. You got to do it my way. I'm the only one that knows how to do it right, you know. And that's not the reality of the world. You got to let people do it their way. If you're the best person on your team, you got a crappy team and life sucks for you. Okay? That's not the way it's supposed to be in remodeling. And now all of a sudden my screen's messed up. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So, why this matters. See, at the end of the day, we're not just building kitchens, right? You're taking a homeowner's house, transforming it, and you're building your business. And real businesses have systems. I've talked about it before. That's how Subway was able to grow. I mean, it's a stupid Subway sandwich shop, and they went on to be one of the largest in the country, in the world, because they came up with a system for how to make sandwiches. You can have a smooth, well running remodeling machine if you just have a nice little system and you can just hire a bunch of people and hand them over the game plan. That's it's that simple in a nutshell. It's hard to execute when you haven't done it before. But that's the only thing that's keeping you from growing is you don't know how to replicate yourself in the field. That's it. If you're having trouble growing, you got to say to yourself, damn, I don't know how to get out of my own way. I don't know how to transfer the things that I know about remodeling and hand it over to other people that want to work for me. That's why you can't grow. All right. So when your team knows what's expected and why it matters, they perform better. They take more pride. They solve problems on their own. That's what you want. So if your ego is going to get in the way and you don't want somebody smarter than you on your team, have at it. Good luck. You're going to have a hard life running, unless you just want to run your own little thing. You know, that's cool. You want to be the solo guy, maybe have one helper here and there, have at it. But if you're trying to grow a team and you want to sit back and be like a quarterback, then you got to hire the best. So no more chasing people down. Like you don't keep babying your crew. You show them what's expected, right? And then you have consequences when they aren't met. That's the best way to do life. All right. So the the goal is self-motivated, self-led crews, right? They run on standards, not constant supervision. Um, if you worked in an environment where the boss always hovered and they had like cameras watching you and supervisors walking the aisles, that is to me a shitty way to run a business. And that's letting you know that company is never going to do amazing things. Because what you want the manager out doing other things, growing the team. You want to be having your people build the remodel. Okay. So you can't be over their shoulder all the time. You've hired the wrong people if that's the case. Um, so you have to do things like you have to create a visual board to show people. You should consider getting a Slack account and set up that so you can do checklist and everyone can touch in and be on the same page about a single job, right? You keep daily logs, you have photos. You can use different apps for this as well. I'm not going to get into that tonight because some of you guys will spend 6 months studying a stupid app as opposed to just putting in the basics, right? At the end of the day, it's not about the app, it's about the action that you're taking. So when your crew knows everyone can see their progress or the lack of it, they're more likely to follow through. All right. So you have to score what you want more of. Here's a bit, I mean, this is pretty simple. Remodelers that don't know how to read profit statements, balance sheets, and income loss statements, they don't make money. The remodelers who take the time to measure their profit and their finances, they make money. That's a real business. So you have to think about your whole business is that way. What you choose to start measuring and paying attention to and score and keep track of is what you can improve on and grow. So how do you make sure you're getting daily logs every day? That's something you measure, right? Then you shut down the chaos and you limit your liability down the road for more issues. Um, are your guys keeping the job site clean so that the next sub that comes on keeps it clean? Because if you leave it net messy for the sub, Don't be thinking that they're going to all of a sudden want to clean it up. And that's why a lot of you have trouble keeping the job sites clean because you don't keep it clean for the next guy, right? It's little things like that. Consider occasionally having a team lunch where you bring the guys in, you sit down, you talk to them, right? You do some team building. You recognize and reward the people that are doing things well. That is another little trick to how you get the rest of your team motivated. When you can start slowly encouraging and motivating and recognizing like one or two players, all of a sudden the other guys want that recognition. You'll be surprised. At first, they're going to tease the guy, right? It's all right. Don't let it phase you. Just keep rewarding the guy. And over time, the guys are like, damn, he's always telling him he did a great job. I'm working just as hard. And then the guy starts to realize, fuck, I'm not doing like the stupid things that I need to be doing. I didn't think that was important. It takes a while to break somebody to get them to where they recognize what's really important instead of what they think is important. So we use something called the MARK model, right? And that's how you train crews. We go over this in the Rebel program. So first, you have to model the behavior. Second, you let them match and mimic, right? Then you motivate with the milestones. And then you do some mentoring until they merge completely with the task, with the culture. And over time, they master the task. So now they matter within the company and they help magnify your system. All right. Very simple process. You just have to be disciplined to work through it, and you'll be shocked at the results that you get. It's the little things. All right. So, default to trust. That's the system that I recommend. That's what works for me. Again, I don't like to hover and micromanage. So, the way you do that is you have to have things in place. Your guys have to keep records for you. Now, they're not going to like doing it until you properly explain to them the benefit and the reason why. Say, hey, you're not filling out the daily log because I have nothing better else for you to do. You're doing that so that we don't get sued down the road when there's a problem. And that way you still have a job in 6 months, 6 years. So you're doing that for the benefit of all of us. The daily log is what protects us as a company. Change orders. That's what protects us so that we have profit. That's how you get paid, employee. That's how you get your bonuses because we make a profit. So stop feeling like it's this or that. That's the way a real business runs. You're not paying for it, the customer's paying for it. So just get along with the system. Change orders are part of a professional remodeling business. So whoever's your field leader, whether it's project manager or a lead carpenter, somebody has to have a checklist and they have to implement it. And then at the end of the day, you have to have some sort of a check-in roundup of what got done. And then we have to be prepared for what we're doing the next morning. And everybody has to be on the same page. These are simple things. If you've ever played a sport, and you have your coach and there's a huddle and you go over what were the goals for the day. Like this is how a job site should be. I know a lot of guys like run job sites by the seat of their pants and their profit shows, right? Because they're struggling. When you start running it more professionally, you make more money and it becomes more fun. And I get it that in the beginning, that's a struggle. So if you feel like you're constantly putting out fires, it's because you're the one holding the hose. Like, I mean, you're setting them and then you're having to put them out because you won't put in systems. You can end the madness. You really can. Um, so here's the thing. If you're struggling with the micromanaging, then just look around at 2 to 3 things where you find yourself constantly micromanaging and say, I'm going to stop micromanaging this. And then you ask, how do I come up with a repeatable system that I can teach my guys so that I don't have to micromanage that? Right. And then how do you make some sort of a way to score it and track it? And then you use that mark model. That's how you encourage people over time. You show them, right? That's a good framework to follow. If you're a parent, it's a more mature way to parent. You don't tell people over and over how to do something. You demonstrate it and show it, right? Parents always say, why aren't you listening to me? It's because that's not how we learn. We learn from watching people's actions. So if you're the type of guy that wants to yell at your crew because they didn't listen. It's probably most likely that you're not demonstrating what it is you want them to do. You're not congruent yourself. So, all right. Let's see. Skip the details. The prompt. So for your AI prompt, you can act as a operations consultant for a residential remodeling company with a field crew of, and insert how many people you manage, right? Are they employees and or subcontractors? Talk about your typical, tell AI your typical job. Like, we are a kitchen remodeler. We typically have two guys that do our demo, set all our cabinets, do all our trim, our sheetrock, our painting. We have subs that do the electrical, the plumbing, and the HVAC. I want to build a system that helps me motivate my team without micromanaging them, right? So you say specifically create something that's simple, repeatable, and helps give me an accountability framework. It should include the end of a day job site check-in or something in a Slack system where you all are communicating together. Some sort of a weekly scorecard that somebody's keeping track of the completion tasks, and a basic recognition system so that you can reward people. A good way to reward somebody is just buying them lunch, you know, provide them with buy them a tool like from the big, like a new Milwaukee something, a pack out, some cordless batteries. Provide them with something that's theirs, right? Um, give them a gift card to a restaurant, whatever. So optional, you can include the lightweight mark model, and that would be to, right? So you model-based training tracker, it helps identify who's in which phase. Model, match, mimic, motivate, mentor, merge, master, matter, modify, magnify. That's the process. All right. So who's got some questions about how to stop babysitting your guys and lead by example, or any other remodeling questions you want to talk about on job sites? The forum's open. I realize it's a little late tonight, but that's the way it goes sometimes. If you're new, you want to let me know where you're from, that'd be awesome. Just let me know what part of the country you're in and what remodeling niche that you serve. So, for those of you on TikTok, you can see some slides and take screenshots if you go over to the YouTube. There's a workshop section, and under that, you'll see all the lives. There's over 100 of them now. So it's everything you need to run a remodeling business. It's everything that comes up like in the course of the tenure of growing, scaling, running a remodeling business. Blake, I see, and Melanie, any questions from you guys? A couple of new people, I guess, tonight. It's a little late. I'm usually not on this late. It's a Friday night, so a lot of guys are probably out celebrating. Glad they survived the week. All right. Anyway. So I can share that mark model. I've used it various forms, right? So you use it as the owner of a company with employees. You do that as a parent with kids. You do that as a coach. If you like, I coached high school sports for a while, and I would demonstrate that model with the players, right? So what was a little different about the way I coached is I would participate with the players. I would run the warm-ups and stretch with them. I would run drills with them. And then when I wanted to teach them different moves, I would come out onto the field and demonstrate the move for them first so they could see it. Then I would help walk them through, right? And all the things. Same when I would bring on a new hire, if there was something we wanted to train them on, I would say, "Hey, here's how we do this here at this company," right? So you show them first, You let them do it as you watch them. You kind of do it together in a sense. You motivate, you encourage, you recognize what they're doing well, and you say, "Great job. That's awesome. Yep, just like that." Positive reinforcement. It sounds silly, but it works. Most people don't experience it. Most people grow up with parents that are idiots and they just yell and berate their kids and tell them, don't do that, don't do this, but they don't actually ever demonstrate what to do. So when you grow up in life, if you'll notice some people in life is super simple. They figure out things really quick. Those people had parents that helped model things better for them. Other people struggle, and those people had shitty parents. And so if you're the one who's like your parents were crappy about the way they parented, yeah, some of this sounds foreign and crazy, and it'll be challenging at first. But over time, you'll start to see the beauty and the simplicity and why it works so well. So you motivate through milestones, positive behavior, it works. Then you continue your mentoring. And then once the person has merged and has it all figured out, they understand your system, they understand the culture, they understand the job, the role, and now they work on mastery. You help them with a path to where they become amazing. If you want to know how to get an amazing employee that'll stay with you for a lifetime, you help make, I call it faming them. You help foster a system where you make them great. If you do that, you'll have an employee for life. It's a, who doesn't want to be awesome at their job? The reason most people leave jobs is because they can't stand the way their boss treats them. So when you're amazing and you treat someone well, they love doing the work. Most people have to work, so they want to be in a good environment. All right. I That's mainly what I have to share. For whatever reason, we just Blake, you're here, I think. Brandon, Um, if you have any questions, feel free. Let's see. But that's yeah, like I said, trying to think. Uh, I've had what else can I share? So a lot of guys, I've rehabbed houses, and a lot of guys want to come work at my company because we rehab houses. They want to learn that business, right? Um, everybody, a lot, not everybody, many people dream about being into real estate, right? It's a quick way to make good money, just like remodeling. Now, what they eventually learn is it's hard. Everyone gets lucky, and everyone finds usually a good deal. But to find deals consistently, it becomes a challenge. You have to work at it like anything else. So, but when somebody new joins the remodeling team, often they've done some basic skills. They've painted a room. They don't know how to professionally paint, but they have painted. Often they've built a deck. Again, they're not an expert carpenter, but they understand basics of a saw, a hammer, a nail gun. So, what we typically have to run people through, again, unless they're like a union trade expert carpenter, but a lot of people that are DIYers, they just know enough to be dangerous, right? Because the problem you run into, and if you're younger, understand this, most of the information that you're consuming from like YouTube and these other places, you're not getting always the best professional advice. There's a lot of people that do it wrong, but because they have some sort of a charismatic personality and they create this trendy YouTube video, it'll get thousands of views, but it's wrong. Like the way they're doing it is not proper. And so then you have a bunch of people that now are being trained how to do something improperly. Where I'm going with that is you'll often hire someone onto your team and they've been trained improperly how to do something, right? Like they just don't understand the basics, because I'll give you an example. I watched my neighbor is putting up tile with double stick tape. Okay. He watched a video where a guy puts up tile with double stick tape for his backsplash in his kitchen. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, that's never going to last. I mean, have fun, go for it. But like, it's because people don't want to mix up and actually put together the proper mortar compound, whatever you want to, the mastic, like, and they don't want the mess. So like they spend all this time, all this energy, and they just do it wrong. What else? They don't recognize that if you have outside corners where you're gonna have exposed edges, that's where you start your tile runs and you run them in to the inside corner. That's where the final cut is. I can't tell you how many DIYers will not do it that way. They'll just go left to right around the room or right to left. And then they have all these exposed edge cuts on one of these walls. And you're like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? No. So like, yeah, they understand tile in a sense. They understand how to lay it or install it and cut it, but they don't understand the foundation principles of like, no, no, you run tile this way. So you'll have to train a lot of people like that with those things if depending on what their experience level is coming into your company. So I this one's always interesting. I was helping. There's a company around. They do 30 million a year now. But when I was working with them at first, they did 5. And the first day on the job, I'm running around with their project manager, and he's bragging about how great their crew is. And we watched the guys. They are framing new walls for a bathroom, and they're using 2.5-inch sheetrock screws to screw the top plate into the studs and the studs into. I'm like, this is what America has become. Like, the guy understands how to build a wall. He knows how to space it 16 on center, but he doesn't even understand that you can't use a sheetrock screw because the heads on sheetrock screws don't have structural capacity. They're just meant to hold sheetrock until the glue dries. That's another thing people don't even understand about sheetrock. You're supposed to glue it to the studs. The screw is just to help hold it till the glue dries. So how many guys are like, I can't afford glue. We're not putting glue on these. I'm like, all right, good luck. You're going to have so anyway, there's just like a lot of little things, right? That people mess up and they don't even know because they just watch some video and the guy's like, make sure you screw the drywall. Like, you know, yes, you need screws, but you need glue on the studs. All right. Any questions? We are going to probably wrap it up in a minute. Appreciate those of you tuning in. Trying to think. If you want to get into the ecosystem, please go to my bio. You can download the free book. Once you get the book, that'll give you an invite to our Facebook group, which you can join that for free. We have 2 groups. One's free, one's paid. So you can start in the free world and consume of free content. And when you're ready to like step up your business and get going, you can reach out to get into the Rebel program. So those Rebel, we do 2 calls a month with the Rebel program. And what else? You guys got any questions about your remodeling business? So I'm a big believer in if you're going to run a full service remodeling business, I believe you need both employees and subs. Everybody has their own way of running it. Some guys run 100% subcontractor. Some guys try to run all employees. Some of it's going to have to do with licensing and regulations in some of your states. Like in my state, it's challenging to have all the licenses. I don't know many people that have multiple, meaning plumbing, electrical, mechanical, unless it's a family business where like 2 or 3 brothers, one gets the electrical license, one gets the plumbing license, or if their parents were a plumber or electrician, then it's a lot easier for that kid to get their hours under the family member. But a typical guy getting into remodeling, if you didn't grow up in the industry, you're just going to most likely get your GC license. All right. And so then you're going to need a good like carpenter punch out guy project manager, sales rep, person, and then you're going to work with subs most likely. Um, I liked having about 10 employees, right? So I have project manager, lead carpenter, helper, and they operate more as a team. So lead carpenters always get a helper, and that seems to work really well. And so your lead carpenters like the quarterback, and they're going to manage all the subs. They know how to do just about everything, but they don't do it. They more make sure that everything's being set up properly for the other subs. Um, like here's a big tip. If I learned this early on with working, so I had an HVAC contractor, and I was asking him how we could get a little aggressive on some of the pricing. And he shared with me, well, if you guys could set up your runs so that we could stack our equipment, and then we had a chase where we could run the ductwork from here to there and over here to over there, that saves us a lot of time. Like we're talking several $100s. So you should. That's what a good lead carpenter figures out for you. They talk to each of the subs and they say, "Hey, what is it that we could be doing on the job? Like with these plans, you're looking at the plans, you're looking at the job. What could we do to help make it easier and simpler when you guys show up on site?" Right? And they'll tell you. And then the next thing you know, you're getting slightly better pricing. You're also, your subs are happier and wanting to work with you because you're making the job easier for them. The customer's getting a better experience and the job's getting done quicker. So that's the model that I find works the best, and has the fewest headaches. Hey, Caleb, good question. I mean, I would say just get involved in the program, right? So where you got to you have to be dedicated and just be consistent. Um, but otherwise, you watch the videos, look at the titles, find a video that is applicable to where you're at. Share with me what is your business right now? What's your niche or specialty? Sure. Yeah, the first few years are absolutely ridiculous, right? Are you are you saying you're a full service remodeler, like kitchens, baths, decks, additions? All right, hold on. TikTok does this sometimes, guys. It will hide comments. It's I swear. Let me see what's happening, Caleb. It looks like some of your what did you let me find one of your it's banning one of your comments. Okay, outside, insider. Yeah, so all right, and you've been doing it for 3 years. What part of the country are you in? Texas. All right, so Texas is an awesome market, right? You got a ton of work down there. People are buying houses like crazy. Okay, now how it's the Wild West. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, now help me understand what's your structure right now. Do you have a couple in-house like W-2 employees? Oh, awesome! Built your first spec home. All right, very cool. How did that go? Have you been able to sell it? Is it finished, or are you still in progress? All right. Sold the house. Were you able to get your money back and make a profit or break even at least? And more than awesome. Okay. Congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back. because you didn't go out of business on that endeavor. So that's a good learning experience. Exactly. So as a real estate investor, you have to look at what's your niche. If you're gonna use, or do you want to do more spec homes? Yeah. So absolutely. Real estate investing, building new homes is often much simpler if you just build the product and then sell it because you don't have the homeowner hovering over you. Now, the trick, and follow me for this, most homeowners hover and give the remodeler a hard time because the remodeler doesn't understand how to communicate and make the homeowner feel good, and let the homeowner feel like they can trust the remodeler to back off. So I'd say getting away from the job is my number one. Yeah. So look, you're new. It's only 3 years. Um, you're gonna have to find a right hand person. You got to find somebody. The best employee that I hired early on was actually older. He was either my age or even older than me. Several of my best guys were older. Yeah, he was older than me. Several of my best carpenters that I found and brought on board, I would suggest you look for a guy that wants to be your lead. You're going to put him in charge of your business as far as on site. Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing, like you're going to have to go through several, don't all the things that are happening for you are perfect. Like this is exactly the way it goes. Nobody just, unless you and your like brother or your father get into business, you're going to always have issues. The first few people that you get in business with aren't going to work. And that's the way it's supposed to be because you have to learn the type of person that you won't be dealing with in the future. Right. So you look at the personality styles of the people that you tried to work with and you're like, they don't work. I'm going to find, how do I explain it? You have to find kind of like your antithesis. You have to find the peanut butter to your jelly, if that makes sense. Right. So typically, like for me, I need to find guys that are like the details being on the job site and are patient with the homeowner and the good carpenters, right? Because those are the things that sometimes I'm trying to do so much that sometimes I'll miss some things, right? So it will take you a couple guys, but the thing is you just keep hire and fire. That's fine. Just go find the next guy and try him out for a couple months. So, yeah, good point. Nobody's gonna do it like you other than you. So, I'm assuming you're younger. When I got started, I was in my 20s, right? How are you in your 20s or 30? Where help me understand like your, 20s, 30s, where are you? 33. Perfect. Yeah. So, think about this. You're a hustler, you're a hard worker, you hold a I'm assuming you hold a high standard and put out quality work. Okay. And you know a lot. And you had the wherewithal and the courage to go out and start on your own. Now, there's a lot of guys that want to start on their own and then it fails and it falls apart for a variety of reasons. Most often it's because it's one thing to swing a hammer, it's another thing to swing a business. Okay? And this is what you're learning right now is how to swing the business. If you stick with it, yes, it's challenging. And if anyone tells you it's not, they're lying. Yes, it's challenging, but you're going to get through it. Okay. And then life gets a whole lot simpler. You just have to go through the motions. So, what I'm saying is, um, do you want to stay with remodeling or do you want to build another spec home? What direction do you want to go? Yeah, that's okay. So, as I, to be honest, I just want to build. Okay, now follow me for a minute. Is do you just wanna build because that's what it feels most comfortable to you, and it's like that's where you have the least problems because it's what you know the best? Yeah. Yeah, interest, if you're getting loans, if you're doing I'm assuming you're getting well, are you doing bank loans or hard money or a combination? How are you acquiring the land? Okay. So look, these are all good problems to have, 100%. There's a process that all people have to go through. So here's what owning your business is: a growth stage in life for a lot of people. Here's what I'm saying: the issues that you're starting to see happen within the business, they're happening for a reason, to help you develop more fully as a person. All right. And just bear with me. This isn't a critique. What I'm saying is, you have a certain level of skill set that's gotten you to where you are, and you're frustrated because you want to get higher up on the mountain, right? It's kind of like the guys that hire a Sherpa to climb K2. The guy has climbed a mountain before, but he's never climbed fucking K2. So he has to get a guide. He has to hire someone to show him how to successfully get up the mountain. And then the hardest part sometimes is making it back down. It's no different with growing a business. You've gotten to the point where you know all that you know about running your business. Now, this is where the discipline comes in. You have to now be willing to stack business skills, trial, error, put yourself out there to where you don't know what you're doing. That's okay. Nobody does when they're starting out. And you have to learn that you're going to fail some things are going to go wrong, but you're going to learn from each of those mistakes and you just keep moving forward. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So if you would like to continue in remodel, I would say look, I don't know 100% your talents. We'd have to talk more, but just from what I'm hearing and right here, I would say I would keep doing what you're doing, but there's going to be a shift up here in the way that you're thinking about it and the way that you're actually executing 100%. Okay, help me think about this for a minute. I got to a place where I couldn't stand dealing with the homeowners, right? I liked doing the remodeling. Like, I loved building walls. I liked I even like finishing sheetrock. Like, I don't like hanging it all the time, and I don't like sanding it, but I like painting. I like installing cabinets. I like installing trim. I love seeing the transformation. Okay. The problem was, when you're trying to grow a business, you can't do it all. You're going to burn out because you're going to be working so hard to get the job done that when the homeowner starts to come up with all these stupid issues that all homeowners have, you're already a little frazzled, and so they get on your nerves. But follow me. If you had a guy that was as almost as talented as you, or maybe has other talents and carpentry skills, and he was on the job doing most of the work, it would allow you to relax some, and then you could now communicate with the homeowner in a different way. And when you start learning some of these languaging skills, communication skills, you can y- you set the homeowner up for success, which is setting you up for success, because you start to understand how they're thinking so you can communicate with them better, and then you start alleviating all these issues. I I know it sounds a little hokey. Let me ask you, he's probably working for one of your competitors. So, my best follow me here. My best carpenter was working for like a $30 million a year company when I wasn't a $30 million of the year company. But his $30 million a year company was being horribly run and was going to be going out of business. And so I was able to hire him as my company was growing into the millions. There are guys in your market right now that are working probably for somebody else, and they might not like where they are. And believe it or not, if you provide them autonomy, if you treat them well, let them do their thing, don't micromanage them, you would be shocked. Now, you're probably gonna have to pay them more than you're comfortable, and that's the way, at least that's I can remember when I hired my first guy, I met with him, like, at a sub shop, and when I left, I was getting fuel, and it was like this was back when, like, fuel was, like, 4 or $5 a gallon, and I'm like, "How can I afford to pay this guy, you know, 80, $100,000 when I can't." Pissed off about how much, my fuel's costing me. But what I recognized was I have to hire that guy to get to the next step. I have to fucking figure it out. So you just have to sell the next job, and that's what you focus on. See, here, that's where you shift. Once you bring in that amazing talent that can do the things that you do on site, now you go sell the next job. What when you say AI plant, can you give me more information? Like, what could I look at? What is that? Like they're are they building like for the servers? Are they building, I know that different parts of the country they're building huge warehouses, largest data center in the world. Yeah. Wait a minute. Is that the Starship? Is that the Project Starship? I think it's called, or Stargate. Yes, man. You good. That's fucking awesome for you, man. That you're around that. Yeah, but you're at the epicenter right now. Like, and so look. I mean, how many people are moving to where you are right now? It's got to be. You listen. There is a way for you to capitalize on this. We just have to think outside the box a little bit. You've got money, you have work, you have people. It's just gonna take a little bit of time to get your foothold. That's all. This is like, brother, you have an amazing, well, I would say it's an amazing, you have to look, I've lived through a lot of things. I've watched the market go up, I watched it go down. There's opportunity in every phase. You just have to shift the way you're looking at it. Like for a while there, we were rehabbing houses, but then when 2008, when the market crashed, we shifted and I got into property preservation. So now I'm taking care of all the houses that people are being foreclosed on. You have to go where the market is. Yeah, it's fine. Like it it often feels that way, right? Trust that where you're at is like the perfect place. Hey, hey, contractor Damon. Caleb, like you're right where you're supposed to be, brother. Like it's almost like take a moment and like write down on a board the opportunities, right? And so you can get out of your head and see them on paper. I guarantee if we sat down for like a half hour, we'd come up with a game plan for you and you would go crush it. Right? We just come up with like, here's the 5 things that you're gonna go do in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, all right. So what can you do to kind of solve that issue? Yeah, we could do a Zoom call, whatever. But what the, I'd be happy to have a call with you. What I'm saying is, if you just took a moment, like, I don't know if you work on the weekend, but get out of your normal routine. Go to I don't know, a sub shop, a coffee shop, go sit somewhere, get a drink, a meal, take a piece of paper and a pen, and just start writing down, like, what are the opportunities that you would like to have? And what is it that you want for your business? And then look around the marketplace and go, how can I match? What does my area need right now? Yeah, whenever you're ready. I mean, but you're gonna get through this. Like, I think finding an employee is gonna help you and getting Hey, Jay Allen, good to see you. Jay Allen can shed some light on this too. Okay, so yeah, so Christmas lights a really good business. We did that as well. Now here, think about this. You should have a guy on your you should be hiring someone to do the lights for you so that you're not doing them the whole time, right? Look at the there, it's a gig economy out there. You should be able to find a guy who will help you put up Christmas lights on the side maybe. Maybe it's part-time. I don't know. Like, but you got to find a way to market and see if you can do a few more lights. And also every one of those customers that you're doing their lights for, hopefully you have some sort of a flyer or some sort of an offer that you're presenting to them saying, "Hey, we are this amazing remodeling company." And, you guys don't have do you have basements? I don't think you have basements in Texas, or do you? I'm not sure what part you're at. Yeah, no basements. So, what is it uh, like, all these people I'm assuming that these people that you're putting lights up for, do they live in, like, newer communities? They both mono slabs, alright. I'm assuming that a lot of these homeowners, they're both, dual income, right? We call them dinks. Both people work, husband, wife. They probably have no tools, no expertise on anything. Like, what things could you position to them? Could you get into like subbing out pavers and outdoor living spaces? Could you do accent walls? Like, what is it that you could do? Could you do garage makeovers? Sports rooms? I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, what is the market like where you're at that you could find a little niche to capitalize on these 200 light hanging customers that you have? Uh, Yeah. So what's keeping you? All right. So look, you're telling me the things you can't do, right? Awesome. So how do we get around that? Yeah, absolutely, John. So look, Caleb, if are you too busy because you're not making enough money and you can't afford to hire somebody? Like, you have to help me understand the dilemma, because I feel like I don't quite understand your dilemma at the problem, because it sounds like if you're too busy that you need to hire somebody, right? So I feel like that would be the first focus, is we find you a good person. Um, if you want to try hiring somebody younger and then you're going to train them, go for it. I would consider trying to find somebody a little more experienced person, but that would be, again, it depends on the scope of your jobs. I can tell you this, like my carpenters, I mean, these guys were they do windows, doors, siding, cabinetry, all the work. They loved doing Christmas lights. It's a nice change. So I think like your thing could work out really well for you, where you bring somebody on, you do the remodels, and then you do the lighting displays. It could work really well for you guys. Most of my carpenters loved setting up lights. And I think most of your houses down there, it's probably pretty easy to do as well. I mean, I guess you come up with you and the homeowner come up with a lighting plan, and now all you do is just go execute? Yeah, I just can't type fast. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I hear you. So, you're gonna get through it, man. You just I think you need help. I think you need somebody working for you. I I would consider raising my rates a little bit. I would hire W-2, but look, if you just wanna keep it simple and bring the first guy on as a subcontractor, I don't know how much of my content you watch. I talk a lot about your first guy, it should be a 90-day trial period minimum, whereas you bring them on board, you're like, "Hey, I want you to work here full time, but we're gonna go through a probationary period." All right. And then so that you're not beholden to them and they're not beholden to you, but those at minimum first 90 days, we're going to see how all this works out. And again, it's important the way you present it to the person. You say, "Hey, we do it for two reasons. First, I want to make sure that you want to work here and this is a good fit. And two, I have to make sure that you're a good fit for the company as well." Yeah. No, Caleb, hey, brother, you can look, I am not special at all, brother. Like the amount of mistakes that I've made, it's, it's taken me a long time to learn this shit. You totally are going to be able to, you're already doing this stuff. Yeah, that's what people say. And I'm not saying that they don't, right? I think if you maybe, let me see. If I was in your market, I would go to a couple of the supply houses, wherever you buy your lumber from, wherever you buy your siding, your windows, your roofing materials. I would talk to the salesperson or the manager, and I would let them know that you're looking to hire. I'm assuming it's a carpenter if it's remodeling. Like you let them know that you're looking to hire a carpenter, a good carpenter, and just wait and see what comes your way. And you can talk to the guys. There's a lot of different ways to approach the money situations. Yes, you think right now that they all want more money, but let me share something with you. I've had guys that came to work for me and it wasn't about the money. I've talked about this before. I had a guy, Bill, he had a young daughter, him and his wife. He had one point ran his own company, then he didn't. It didn't work for him. He was working for one of my competitors that was going out of business. I offered him a job to come work for me. And one of the things that had him come work for me, he got offers to go work for a lot of my other competition. He was an amazing carpenter. He was willing to come work for me, and I think my offer was a little bit less at the time, overall, the whole compensation package at the end of the day. It wasn't that it wasn't competitive, but I think I was being outbid by a couple other companies, but I offered him flexibility. I let him start, like, at 8. We typically start around 7 in my part of the country, um, and almost all the companies he was applying for, they wouldn't let him do daycare with his kid, whatever, it wasn't working. We made that arrangement. We're like, "Hey, you can come in later, 3 days a week. That's fine. Like 8:30, 9, whatever. Like, we'll work with you around your family situation." And the reality was he didn't do this year round with his daughter, but often him and his wife, depending on their work schedules, he would have to just come in late and he would let us know, he'd let the crew know. It was no big deal. But that's what brought him over to our company. That flexi So what I'm saying is until you have a meeting with the guy, you don't even know. Yeah, I think that's yeah, yeah, 3 times, Jay Allen, is the minimum, right? Like you're a new guy, if you pay him 100, he's gonna be bringing in at least 3 times to 5 times. Yeah, I think that's accurate statement. So, and Caleb, Jay Allen brings up a good point. Initially, you're looking at the cost of bringing on a guy, and you feel like you can't afford it. And this is again, this is that story I was sharing with you. I was at the gas station and I'm looking at how much fuel's cost me. It's like $5 a gallon, right? And I'm filling up this F-350 with dual diesel tanks. And I'm like, it was so much money that you can't even buy it all at once because the pumps have these auto things where they only let you charge like $120 or $150. So then you have to wait, you have to re-ring the sale and then fill up the other whatever. It was ridiculous. But what I'm getting at is you have to look at the cost of what not hiring that guy is going to cost your business. If what Jay Allen's pointing out is by you bringing on a guy who's top notch, he's going to help you earn easily several times what you're paying him. As long as you're properly pricing out the jobs and getting a good profit, the guy will pay for it himself and more. But it's when it's your first rodeo, as they say, it's definitely a scary place to be. I understand you're taking a big risk in your mind. There's a Caleb, all like, I don't know you personally, but I'm assuming that you have a good business sense about you. And if you're determined, you'll make it work. Okay. It's a process. You got to find the guy. You're at like we don't even have the guy right now. So we don't even know how much it's going to cost us to bring him on. But let's be prepared that we're going to pay him 100 grand. All right. Maybe you're going to pay him 75. Maybe you'll pay him 125. I don't know what you're going to pay him. You don't even know right now because we don't even have the guy. So let's not even cross that bridge yet till we get to it. First thing we got to do is start looking for a guy and letting everybody know that we're ready to bring on a guy. Right. And then the world, in my experience with the way the world works, when you open yourself up and take on that next challenge, then more things will come on. See, right now, you don't have the guy, so you can't even sell the business. But when you exactly, John, step by step. Caleb, if you let's say this, let's say you put out into the universe that you want this guy to come join your team, and then you find a guy who's interested. Boom, you bring him on. The If you keep doing what you do, if you keep advertising, doing good work, the opportunities are going to start presenting themselves. You just don't even know that they're there because right now you can't handle it because you don't have them. But once you bring them on board, then all of a sudden now you can take on those jobs. That's been my experience. Every time I brought on another person, the company was able to expand to accommodate the person. We only had when in 2008, and it wasn't even 2008, but when that economy crashed, it was more like 2010 was a year that I had a down year. And there was a couple factors, but what I'm saying is you'll make it work. If you're a go-getter and you analyze the market, you'll figure it out. So, Caleb J. Allen here, he's been in the trade a long time himself. So when you see his comments, you can trust that he knows what he's talking about. He's worked for others. He's has his own thing going now. Like you have some good people around you, I think, that can give you some good insight. We For most of us, when it's our situation, it feels exceptionally challenging, and I'm not saying it's not. What I want you to think about is that you're gonna get through it. Like, it's not the end of the world. It seems like it, right? I get that, but just keep doing the little things, and it's all gonna it's gonna work out. Thank you for sharing that, Jay Allen. Yeah. Caleb, don't stress about it. It'll come to you. You just have to it'll come to you. Go for a walk. I don't know what you do to de-stress. Like, For me, I have to work out. Like, I have to get my heart rate up. I have to do something that makes it's challenge. I have to sweat, right? Get out of my mind, listen to some music and whatever. Go work out, go for a run, go play a sport, whatever. Whether that's fishing for you, playing golf, hunting, I don't what racing dirt bikes. Find some activity to try to do some point this weekend. So well, yeah, so not having alcohol is a huge help right now, right? Because you can stay clear-minded, and then as you at 33, you can still party and wake up the next morning. Once you hit, like, 43, 53, uh, that the body shuts down, but what I'm so it's good that you're not drinking for sure, that your mind's gonna be clear. Hopefully, you're not as long as nothing else is happening up there. But what I'm saying is when we're in the middle of an issue, like if you're stressed and worried or thinking about it, they call that ruminating, right? It's where it starts taking a toll on you. So go tomorrow, go find some fucking activity to do. What I don't know, go four wheeling, whatever you do down in Texas, whatever you like to do. Yes, Jayon, he's got his whole life at him, 33. So, but you just find a way to clear your mind. Get away from the problem, don't think about it, go do something a physical activity. Yeah, travels damn. Soccer isn't soccer life crazy? Are your kids in those crazy travel soccer leagues? Look, around me, it can cost you, like, I mean, thousands. You have parents it spending thousands of dollars to put their 8-year-old in a travel soccer league, and please hear me, I don't I was a huge sports kid and growing up, but it has gotten insane. I man, a 4-hour drive. So your kids must be pretty good. I'm assuming is that a travel league? Like, or are you guys in a tournament? Like 4 hours. Whew. Yeah. 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 I hear you, man. So hopefully, all right. So you're gonna be with the kids. I if you're the one driving, maybe you can put yeah, whatever you can do to get your mind just focus on the kids, whatever. Focus on the family. I don't know. Like if all your I don't know how you guys operate as a family unit. Like does everybody put in their own AirPods and just live in their own world so that you could listen to a whatever, a podcast, to watch a movie, whatever you do. Yeah, he's gotta run his own business just to afford the soccer life for these kids. But, yeah, just try to find some downtime where you're not stressed about the problem. It'll come back, it'll come to you. You'll find the solution. Is your spouse do you have a spouse that can help you? Can the 2 of you sit down and talk, or will that just cause more stress? Is that not an option in your world? Like, so from in my situation, I've been married, divorced, some spouses are really good. You can sit down and they can be a sounding board. Other spouses, it's just they don't want to hear it. It's all stress. So I get that. Like, I don't know what your situation would be. Um, but and the spouse might not be the right way to go either. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Uh life is fun. But Caleb, it's gonna work out, brother. You're gonna there's try to find if you've never done meditation before, try to find something that you can just I'm assuming right now that your head's just spinning with problems, right? And you're stressed the fuck out and it's frustrating. So I'm just suggesting try to find a way to clear your head a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Like, here's what I notice happens for me. So I love to work. Like, I mean, here I am. It's late at night and I'm doing this, right? But that's what I like to do. I've had to work since I when I say had to, I've always wanted things that were outside of my budget, even as a kid. So like I had parents, and my parents put a roof over my head. They gave me a lot of nice things. But I worked. I got a job early. I delivered newspapers because I always wanted more for whatever reason. That's just been like the burden of my life. Everybody has their own story. So where I'm going with this is I find that when I things will start to get heavy and I'll start to notice that I'm not like as sharp or as quick and I'm feeling tired. I don't whenever I notice I don't feel as excited about some things, or if I start feeling like daily life things are a little bit of a burden, that lets me know that I'm living up here too much. What I mean is I'm inside my head, I'm thinking too much. I got to like put work aside. I got to go do something, like spend time with the family, run around with the kids, visit nieces and nephews, see what my brother's doing and his sister-in-law. I don't know. See, check in on my parents, anything just to get outside of the routine, spend some time where I'm forced to focus and be present with other people doing other things, some other activity that's challenging, right? And then I can come back and feel regrouped to like figure out the business problem. So hopefully you can find that for yourself. I don't Yeah. All the time, Jayon, I hear. Yeah. You'll make it work, man. So, there's some good meditation apps. I put up a video or 2 about meditation. I'm a big believer. So, I have Apple, AirPods. I play them all the time. And I mean, you can do them with transparency so that, like, you can still be talking and hearing what's going on, but sometimes just to have, like, some positive reinforcement. Um, Here's what I find. Most people, when we're in life, especially as you run your business, you only hear negative shit. It's usually people are complaining. It's usually a problem. Homeowners are frustrated about something. They're unloading on you, whatever. Like you listen, the minute you turn the TV on, it's negative, whatever. You have to find a way to get yourself around people that are positive. So if you don't have like a good group of friends, which most of us, that's hard to find, you're not in a group like a mastermind or something, maybe finding like there's a guy, his name's Alan Watts. You can find a lot of his old recordings. There's the Calm meditation app, whatever. You can just Google positive thoughts. Um Jim Rohn does a lot of them. He's got a bunch. Anyway, just have something positive that's playing in your earbuds in the background sometimes, because otherwise our mind tends to focus on the negative, and we have to be reminded that there's a lot to be positive about and for. That's what works for me. So if you I'll even play that sometimes as I'm trying to go to unwind. I want to go to sleep. Just a positive reinforcement, right? It becomes like hypnotic. Um, it's crazy. I don't like when I was in college, I would record the lectures and play the lectures. I used to have a Walkman and I would listen to my lectures all the time from the teachers, and subconsciously it rewires you. You'll start to memorize things because you're hearing it. The same is true. Yeah. So your mind, okay. So I get, brother, I feel for you because I hear what you're saying. So yeah, like I have a hard time shutting my mind down at night, right? I get a lot of ideas and I'll worry about stuff that I shouldn't even be worried about. So I will play uh, a meditation, some kind of a positive message. You can reach out to me if you like, I can get you some links to a couple things that you could try. Whatever you got to find, but like Alan Watts is pretty good. Jim Rohn, you just Google it. There's a ton anyway. But you want something positive playing to help calm your mind, and you'll just fall asleep most likely to it. It'll hurt your ear in the beginning, if you're falling asleep with an Apple AirPod Pro, but they make more slender ones that you can whatever. That's not the point. The point is you need something playing to help calm your mind, and you'll start finding that you fall asleep easier and you sleep better, and you'll wake up and be more motivated. Yeah. Like, yeah. So, I mean, it's the little things, you know. Look, you have the biggest lesson I've learned is you can't trust what your mind's doing. Your mind is often it's trying to protect you all the time, but we don't live in a world where we need to be protected constantly. At least I don't. Like I have a house over my head. For the most part, nobody's going to come into it while I'm sleeping, right? I mean, sure, somebody could break in, but I'm fortunate. I don't live in that type of a neighborhood where every night like I'm sleeping with a gun under the pillow. No. Like so what I'm getting at is most of the threats that come up in my mind or the struggles, they're not necessary. Like it's going to be fine. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I have water and I can take a shower and I have clothes and I have a vehicle. You know, I live a very blessed life. So most of us, if we're in America and you're able to be on the TikTok app, then you're doing better than the majority of the world. And I'm not saying that to diminish where you're at, but what I'm saying is you have a lot to be thankful for. So our business problems, we're going to get through them. Okay. Really, we often make up these problems in our head to be much bigger than they are because our brain needs to focus on problems in general. So when you don't have daily life struggles, look, that's why we have a lot of problems. And I'll say this really short and sweet. That's why a lot of people get so upset about the wrong shit because their life is too easy. They live in a condo, they get their food delivered, they have constant heat, warmth, air conditioning, right? They don't struggle over everything. So they make all these other issues in their life the struggle. Whereas if you just get back to living a more simple life, like maybe you go have to chop some wood or go out and do some exercise, start appreciating some of the simple things in life, then you don't make these problems out of all this craziness. So, what I'm trying to say is, as a business owner, you may have a lot of good things going on in your life, and some of these business problems, you might be making them a little bigger than maybe they really are. And it's natural for that to happen. Our mind does that by default. Yeah, I yes. Yeah, and look, don't beat yourself up about it. I do it constantly. Look, I've had a couple weeks recently where I've been really frustrated. I so I have this, I work out of this I built this building that I work out of, and, my girlfriend and I have a new house, and I wanted to build something like this over there, and we can't get the fucking permit because it's in a 100-year FEMA flood plan. It's been 4 months, and we've had to go through all these revisions and hearings. It's insane. So, like, I'm making mountain out of a what's it? I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, right? I'm frustrated because I don't have my new office built at my new location, and so I'm still driving I still own this property, I own that one. Anyway, we all have our things, right? And it's been driving me crazy, but at the end of the day, like, I have my own office. I got to build it. How cool is that? I'll show it to you. I have a cedar ceiling, whatever. So, it's a standalone structure, I've run power out to it, whatever. So, it's a real studio, like, I come in here and this is where I do this kinda work. Um, but at the same time, I've been stressed and pissed because I want to build the new one at the new location and we can't get the permits, right? And it's causing me all this angst and grief. And now it's going to cost a whole lot more money than what I originally budgeted for. These are all like first world problems. Like none of this is really that big of a deal when you break it down. Yeah. Yeah. Like I hear all of that. Yeah. FEMA, they've gotten in this. I live in a very litigious state and they're just overboard on what they make you do to build something nowadays. I'm just trying to build like we originally wanted to build a 24 by 30 and we weren't even doing a real foundation. I was just going to build it up on s- we have to have it elevated because it's on the water. So I'm not even building a real foundation like yeah. Thanks, Jalen. But I anyway. So where I'm going with all this is I've been stressed out over some things that probably most reality a lot of people would look at as like, "That's really not a big problem, Mike, get over it." Like, I'm very fortunate. I've made certain choices in life and I have good health. I don't drink anymore. I used to, right? But I don't now. I eat well. I haven't always, but I do now. So like I have health. And a lot of people just don't even have their basic health, right? A lot of people, it's a real fucking struggle every day. They've got all kinds of issues. So where I'm going with it is you're probably creating bigger business issues than maybe necessary. That's why that exercise of trying to write it down. You take a piece of paper, you divide it in half. Write down what you want in your business. What are the opportunities? What are your goals? What do you want? Then look at what are the challenges. And once you get it out of your head, you'll find that most likely you'll be like, damn, this isn't as big. I was making it a bigger deal than it needed to be. I find that it helps to have action steps towards my problems. So if I'm frustrated that I don't have something in my business or my life that I want, then that lets me know to stop being pissed about it and come up with a plan to go get it. Okay. Think about this, and Jay Allen, you can probably attest to this. We get what we really want in our lives. Um, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I'm telling you, if you grew up anywhere, look, and this isn't because you guys get this. I'm not special. Had I been born somewhere else to a different family, a different part of the world, I'd be living that life. Like I'm just working with what I was given, to some extent. I'm nothing special. I just show up every day. That's the choice that I make. But there's people that have been way more successful than me that have been given less, So I just, I try. My goal is to say, Mike, did you do like this much more today towards whatever? So again, when I have a problem, I have to come up with a plan. And then you can start moving towards the plan. Yeah, every day, Jan. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think now look, eh, eh, and that will not be your problem because now with apps, I mean, you can do the translate right on the phone, but there are books. I don't see it right now, but there's a couple really good little handbooks that are. So I'm not fluent in Spanish at all. My girlfriend is. It's amazing. I wish I had her talent. And there's a lot of really good. You should work with the workforce that wants to work. Okay, that's what I would say about that. If uh, I've worked with people from all over the world in my area, we have a lot of Russians. that like to do windows. There's a lot of people that are Chinese and they like to do siding. There's a lot of people from different parts of South America that obviously like to do sheetrock and roofing. A lot from Guatemala. Yeah, you're 4 hours from Mexico, so it's probably a different world. So Maryland became a hotbed. We have a huge Hispanic uh, network not that far away from me. Like literally, part of our city has really become like a. All the stores are now Spanish, whatever, Spanish. I guess Mexican. I don't know what you would say, but there's a huge culture. What would say to you is you should work with the people that want to work, regardless of where they're from, as long as they work within your system, right? Like there's a lot of legal people in the country that you can work with if that's the route you want to go. You choose what works for you and your business. But I a lot of our subs are of all different descents, and it's interesting once you get into the community. So but yeah, you can pick up some basic Spanish. And look, usually the crew leader, the lead guy for a lot of these other subs, he typically speaks English or she. Yeah. Yeah. I don't, it's funny. In my area, they don't do roofing. Whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, like, that's the reality. I have a lot of really good siding subs they're just Chinese. They don't, and the only guy that speaks English on their crew is usually the lead or the owner of the company. He has his guys, they don't even speak English. The same's with some of our Russian subs that install, they do a ton of these guys do Windows. Um, it's the same thing. The guys that are on the crew drive now they don't always speak the best English, but the main guy does typically. Yeah, so I can imagine. My cousin, I have several relatives in Florida, and one of them, she's a female. She's a killer sales rep for. She sells hurricane uh, standard roofing and impact windows. She's crushing it in Florida right now. But yeah, we talk about the standards that they have to go through. So yeah, you guys have a whole different level, I'm sure. And with the hailstorms, you probably have a lot of storm chasers, you know? The reality is you have a ton of opportunity in front of you. You just have to pick one thing that's gonna make you the most excited, and then you can slowly grow into the others, right? So, like, for me, I came into the business with a rehab background, so I understood kitchens, bathrooms, windows, roofing, siding, doors, but I started the first couple jobs were basements. That's what I did first. Then we moved over into kitchens. Then I wanted to get into doing, like, decks and patio rooms and screened-in porches, right? And then we moved into design build and additions. Then we brought on a handyman division. Then we got into the property preservation work, right? But all these take time. You get good at the one thing, expand on that, and then you add the next thing, you know? When one of my carpenters came over, he was super efficient at windows and doors, taught me a lot about how we could crush windows. And so I started marketing and advertising to doing replacement windows. I mean, and then we just started competing with all the big window companies. Yeah. Yeah. So if that's your favorite, then I would try to double down on that, you know, and make sure it's what you look at your books, make sure it's what makes you money or figure out your niche to make it money. So I, I hear that. And I would also ask you to think about there's gotta be another set of people in Texas that are making more money, right? Like, you guys have a lot of, I don't know about your area specifically, but you have a lot of people that were influencers in California running their businesses, and they exited California and they moved to Texas. I think they're all closer to Austin. I don't know how that lays out to where you are, but you have neighborhoods that have wealthy people. Those are the people I would think that you'd wanna try to find a way to market to. I know a couple girls, they run a accent wall business down in Texas. They are crushing it, millions of dollars a year, and their niche, they got in with one of these, reality, like, housewives shows, whatever. They offered to do the wall for free for one of the celebrities upon letting them use that as their social media. And then the next thing you know, they grow a huge Instagram account, and now they're doing millions of dollars per year in accent walls. So, yeah, so you just have to find the niche, you know what I mean? And usually it's higher up. The cheaper people, they don't have the money, so they're gonna nickel and dime you. It's not worth, if you're a professional, it's not worth the time typically. Find find the people that have more money and they just want the problem of the remodel solved. They're gonna trust you to do it. They just wanna show you some pictures. You come up with a nice design, and they're gonna say, "Have at it." Yeah. Yeah, good, very good suggest suggestion, Jay Allen. Yeah, look at you guys. Couple comments were being blocked by, TikTok. So, like, Caleb, you asked a question about the energy. So, I learned this about myself after being in business a couple years. I was a competitive athlete, and I noticed as I got older and was playing more. I played in college, and then out of college, went and played like a club level. I started noticing that I kind of felt like I had gotten to the peak of where I was going to be. So I started recognizing, man, I really like to coach, help out younger people. And I know a big joke about coaches and teachers is, the people that coach or teach, that's because they can't do it. And that hasn't been my experience. My personality style is one where I get a lot of enjoyment out of watching other people succeed, right? And watching them win. I've won. I've had a lot of great wins in my life. I've been very fortunate. Um, so I I now find that I get a lot of reward. My life is more rewarding when I can watch somebody else win as well, right? Whether that's like a spouse, a younger brother, helping them with their thing, and the nieces, nephews, kids, family, friends, neighbors, people in the remodeling industry. So, I just enjoy being able to share my experience and saying, "Hey," and believe me, I am not trying to tell you to do what I did by no stretch of the imagination. I'm just trying to share. I've been very fortunate in my life. I was able to have people. I had to seek them out, right? But for whatever reason, I learned about something called modeling before I understood what it was. And here's what I mean. When I was younger, I noticed that if somebody was good at something, I watched how they did it so that I could be good at it as well. And to me, that's been like a secret weapon that I don't think a lot of people capitalize on. And what I'm saying is, just because somebody else is good at something and you're not currently doesn't mean that you can't be in the future. You just have to learn how to be better at it. Um, and you're totally capable of doing it. And it's nice when somebody else shares tips for you to it help you avoid certain potholes that you inevitably, or even if you do hit the pothole, you have somebody to alongside saying, "Hey man, it's all good. Like just keep going." Like that's part of the process. Yeah, that sucked when I did that too. I hear you, right? But it's nice to have someone who gives you some positivity in life. I've talked about that before. Um, so anyway, thank you. Um, yeah, so look, Caleb, I think if you make a couple little tweaks, you'll get that profit. It's some little shifts that you'll probably start making when you're talking to people. It's it's the subtle things that you'll say to homeowners when you're talking through with them. I have a guide that I give homeowners. It's how to have a successful remodel, and I share with them. So when I first got into the industry, I had a website before most other people had websites. Jayon, you might have heard this, so I'll go quick. I don't mean to overshare again. I got contacted by a big law firm out of Virginia that handled a lot of contractor litigation. They needed what they would call as an expert witness. And because I had a website before a lot of other contractors had websites, and it was I paid a lot of money. It was professionally done. This law firm contacted me. So I started doing expert witness like in litigation. So I would see homeowner and contractor disputes behind the scenes. The law firm would hire me. I would go out. I would meet with the homeowner, go over the job, see what all went wrong. I would meet with the contractor, get their perspective, what went wrong, what went right. And then I would depose with the lawyer, and I would watch how these things played out. And because of that, I learned that most contractors that get themselves into lawsuits were the cheaper guy. They did it to themselves. Now they don't know that when it's happening, okay? But I learned that. I was like, I will never be the cheap contractor. That's a race to the fucking bottom. Homeowners, once you're cheap, they just nickel, dime, nitpick. It's just a disaster. So I don't even like, I was like, I don't ever want to play in that market. I'd be happy to have you hire me, to go out and be the expert witness and look at all the issues, but I'm not going to be the cheap. So you'll start telling homeowners like, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, if my bid's not more expensive than the competition, then please forgive me. I've made a mistake. There's something wrong with it. And when you start having conversations, that works for me and my personality. When I start having conversations like that with a homeowner, it totally turns the table on the cheapest price because now they're afraid of it. I talk about what's called low risk versus high risk. You'll you'll figure it out, Caleb. With your personality, you'll figure it out. Like we just have to practice. You have to try it a few times, but there's stories. A good way to be a good salesperson in the remodeling industry is to tell stories to homeowners. Share with them. I would share stories about high risk and low risk contractors. I've shared so being in the rehab business, I've hired shitty contractors as subs, and I share the stories. I my first painter that I ever hired, he he ripped me off, and he painted the fucking roof instead of the walls. I had an old we were rehabbing an old house in the city. It was stucco, and we wanted the stucco painted. And he was supposed to spray the stucco, and he went out on a windy day on a ladder. He was drunk because he had a drinking problem that I didn't. I should have caught it, but I didn't at the time. I didn't know how to even ascertain that. And he's up there with his Graco sprayer. I had a brand new black roof put on the house, and now I've got this Sherwin-Williams beige, whatever, tan color. It's on like the first 3 courses of shingles because of the overspray, right? And I let homeowners know I hired him because he was cheap, because I was trying to save money, and I didn't know any better. There's a reason why people are cheap, because you're not getting what you think. Um, I've shared the story. My roofer, the first roofer I hired, he gave me 2 prices. He goes, Mike, I can pick up some homeless drug addicts and bring them here and get your roof done. It'll cost this much. Or I can bring over my good crew. It's going to cost this much. Which price do you want? Because he worked with a lot of rehabbers. So he knew some guys were cheap. And when I share those stories with homeowners, so they start learning what the industry can really be like. And once you have a good couple good stories like that, they don't want the cheapest. So that's all. It just takes you have to get you have to build up your repertoire. I call it you have to have more reps. That's all. I mean, I've been on probably thousands of sales calls, over the years, just a lot of sales calls. Met with a ton of homeowners. And you just learn to be a little bit better with your stories and your process. It just takes time. You're only 33. They're a little pricey in the beginning. Yeah. I I mean, I my first 6 kitchens that I tried to sell, I lost all 6 of them. They were costing me this was over 20 years ago. They were costing me like 45, $65 a lead, you know? And I remember being really pissed that I was spending all this money on leads and I couldn't close the job. And then finally I learned I need to sell for me, I had to sell design. Yeah. $300, I that's I guess, Jayon, you probably have the right mindset because if the homeowner is gonna choose somebody over $300, they probably weren't the homeowner to work for. We have a saying that sometimes we're better off going fishing than trying to fish for the cheap customer. Like, I'd be you know what I mean? Like, they'll call back with a problem. Yes. Yeah. 100%. So and that's true. You're not gonna land every job, you know? I can go exactly. Yeah, See, Caleb, you know what you're talking about. Alright. Alright, well, listen, bro, you guys have been awesome. I appreciate your interaction. I know it's shitty having to, fucking type in the comments. So, Caleb, nice meeting you. Jay Allen, as always, thank you for being on. I appreciate your contributions. Yeah. Yeah, look, check out the bio, get the book, join the Facebook group, and reach out if you have any questions. It's not a big deal. And Jay, again, thank you so much. And Caleb, have fun at soccer. Hope the kids win. Score some goals. All right. You guys have a good one.